Today's session, very exciting session, is going to be focused on the topic of regenerative tourism. And as many of you have experienced firsthand, trails can become major tourist attractions. And when that happens, it's transformational for a community and even a country. Throughout the day, we will be exploring how tourism is a catalyst for positive change and how it can revitalize communities, including how to deal with the challenges that come along with tourism destination development. So with that in mind, to kick off the great discussions on this topic, please welcome to the stage, with over 25 years of tourism experience, as I've learned today, sitting at the table with you, Emilie Comeau-Sinclair, Executive Director of Strategic Initiatives in Destination Development at Destination Canada.
Good morning. I hope you're ready for this. Before I start, it is very humbling to be here in front of you today and to think, as I was preparing last night, like weeks ago, but I just reviewed a little bit last night, I was thinking about what the elder that welcomed us yesterday, what he said as you were standing on stage, and he invited all of the ancestor in that strength. So I feel very loved and supported today being here on stage, and I'm keeping those words with me. So with an open heart and an open mind, I want to talk to you about how we at Destination Canada think about regenerative, think about that approach and how we apply it to the day-to-day elements that we do. So before I go there, I'm sure you're going, who's Destination Canada? So we are a crown corporation of the federal government. Our mandate is to sustain vibrant community. Our aspiration is really to think about how do we do tourism for good? So how does tourism really support the wealth and well-being of our communities, of all of our Canadians across the country? So we do that by working and supporting and creating thriving destinations. We do that as well by having engaged communities. And of course, we have this whole marketing arm. You might have seen it. But we also do a lot of marketing domestically and internationally to really invite guests to come and experience Canada. We also use a lot of data and insights to kind of ground us in the things and the decisions that we make. So with all of that, let's look at the question. Are trails part of a regenerative approach to tourism? So before we go there, I forgot I have my little sticky here. Okay. So you might have noticed I have a very charming French accent. So for a French girl from New Brunswick, it is sometimes hard to say this word. Actually, it's hard both in French and in English. So I thought I'd break it down a little bit. I have to remind myself that it has 5 syllables. That's kind of my trick. So when we talk about regeneration, it's really important to think about what does it means. And I will challenge you to think about today, how does that look like and how does that feel like in the tourism world? You will notice that I am not saying regenerative tourism. There will be a trick question on that later today. But if you look in the dictionary and you think about what this word means, you see a lot of things like system, improvement. You see elements like leaving it better than it was. You see elements that talk about a way to fix something that was broken after an injury. So really, if we can all pretend today that we are sea stars, that's what you call them. You know, they grow their arms again. So that is really, if you think of a dictionary definition, what it feels like. So for us at Destination Canada, what it means for us, it's thinking about really this systemic approach. It's a different way of thinking. It's really about caring about the people, the places, the stories. It's a way to think about resiliency, and it's a way to move forward and build our tourism industry. So for us, in the context of tourism, when we think about what is to be regenerated, 5-syllable, it is really about the vitality of our places. It is about the local people, the businesses, the community, and all of the complex ecologies that sustain them all. So because of this, when I said I'm not saying regenerative tourism, it's because when you say regenerative tourism, you kind of go in your mind to think, oh, it is the people that are coming. It is the visitor that are doing this thing. They are doing regenerative tourism. But that's not what it's about. It's about this. It's about the local people. It's about the ecology that sustains us all. It's about the whole system. So I challenge you to think about that as we go forward, to really think about what is being regenerated and who is doing it and how are we doing it. So how are we doing it? What does this look like? And how can we really be thinking about this as we go in our day-to-day, as you are building trails, as you are thinking about getting and grounding people together? So we have been really lucky at Destination Canada and have worked for the last few years with two key leaders in the world of regeneration. We have worked with Bill Reed and Michelle Holliday, and that they have really helped us to frame this practice of regeneration. And what does it look like? So for us, it looks at 5 different principles. And you will see here that they are all in a circle. So it's not meant to say you will start in a place and you will finish, and then you will say, yes, my strategy on regenerative is done. No, no. That kind of goes, it's opposite. It is never done. So let's look a little bit at each of them. So the first one is about understanding your sense of place. What is that place? What is that area? What is that geographical sense? What's in it? Is there rivers, mountains, cities? What is the things that you see? So I like to think about this one. I was lucky enough to grow up in the days where you just got on your bike and you just rode around your neighborhood. So if I think of those days, and my sense of place was really about, I was not allowed to go further than in that one intersection and the river. That was my place. So what does that look like in your day-to-day? That sense of place, that area, the land, the things within it that you think about. Then you think about, well, who lives in this place? Who are the people? Who are the stories? Who are the elements that are really helping me understand what is within that place? What are the stories that are being told? What is really important to this place? What connects to it? And then think about those people that are living there. What are they passionate about? What do they care about? What's important to them? How do they connect to this place? How do they connect to this story? And then how do we get all together? So we often say it's really easy for us in the tourism world to build a really great tourism strategy because we have really great minds around the table and we've been doing it for a really long time. But if you don't invite different people, you're having the same conversation. So how are we inviting different people to the table? How are we embracing somebody who is passionate about something? And what does that impact in the big picture of my place, of my community, of my story? And then the last one is really thinking about how do I get all that together and continue? How do I build this circle of stewardship and this way for me to continue and to support this place, these people, the stories? So for us, it's what we try to do. It's how we approach when we talk with our destination stewards, when we work in communities. That is the way that we're really thinking it. Okay, so here's back to our question. Really important. I'm going to be really disappointed if you don't have the right answer. Are trails part of the regenerative approach to tourism? Yeah, all right. So let's think about this. When you're building a trail, it's not just about the dirt and moving the ground and having a great infrastructure. It's about how is it connecting to the land around it? How is it respecting the environment that's around it? What are the stories connected to it? Where is it taking me to? Who am I meeting along the way? So it's much more than just this one piece of infrastructure. Infrastructure is great, and it's needed, but it is connected in the way. So think about, too, when you're sitting around the table and want to have a trail built. There's a lot of passion. There's a lot of interest. There's a lot of heart to find a way to connect this piece to the community, to the people, to the place, to the stories. So really, I would say that as trail leaders, you have the opportunity to build these connections, and further than that, you have the ability to be the conductor of this work. Think about that. When a trail is built in the process of who's sitting around the table, how are you embracing that conversation? And once the trail is there, connecting to the people, to the places, to the story, then you start seeing more passionate people show up in your community. Then you have broader infrastructure. Then you have a place where you can host your guests and really build that connection. So a trail connects people and community. It fosters a sense of place and inspires stories. So think about that today as you are really finding a way to connect and to be the conductor within all of your trail building. But this is great. It is definitely the way forward. It is a way for us to build resiliency and to embrace a different way to deliver tourism. So we're really interested in building that magic between the guests that are coming, those visitors, and the host, right? Or people that are receiving that. So how do I know if I'm doing regenerative approach that it's actually working? So for us at Destination Canada, we have worked really hard to try to figure out a way to change the way we're thinking about measuring tourism. So instead of saying, all right, I got 1,000 visitors coming to my trail, what if we thought about, I have a trail. I wonder how it's affecting the vitality of the businesses of my community. Do I now have 3 coffee shops that are open longer, instead of 2 months or now 6 months? Do I have more jobs for the people living in my community? Am I proud of my culture? Am I able to, really celebrate that and have guests coming in and participate in that? So for us, we look at 6 different things. We call that the Wealth and Wellbeing Index. It's a way for us to understand, so to change from this idea of volume to really think about value. So what is the value? What are the things that are coming, the people within my community that are offering that? So really, when I think about regenerative and this whole concept of hosting guests in my community, of building my tourism asset, I really want to think about that the work of being regenerative, of doing regeneration, is really about us all together. It's about building on creativity, it's about caring, it's about learning, it's about different perspective at the table, all of those passionate discussions that we're having. It's really about the place and the community. So I keep saying that. It is about the place, it is about the people, it is about the story, and it is about us bringing all that together. I want you to think about as we go through the day today, and you will hear so many great conversations about how we should be doing tourism or how trails are part of that conversation. But think about this. What if we really asked ourselves, what is the care that my place needs? What is the care that I need to give to my trail? What is the care of the people around it? And what if I offer that care to the guests that are coming into my community, and really I expect the same in return? So what are those boundaries, those elements that I'm really thinking about? So think about that today as you go and you hear all of these different perspectives and you're putting all that in your toolbox. But I really challenge you to think differently about this idea of regeneration. Many of you are doing it. Many of you are calling it something different, which is great. It's not about the word. It's really about thinking differently and using that the approach of a holistic way to look at all of the elements that we have in. I also invite you, if you are interested to know a little bit more about the work that Destination Canada does in this space, we have a resource center online. We call it the Destination Development Knowledge Hub, very creative title. We also have on our website of destinationcanada.com the roadmap that we will be using, that will be our journey to practice this and to support the Canadian industry to do that with our 2030 strategy. And additionally, I want to do a little plug-in for my colleague Jennifer Horsnell, who will be speaking later this afternoon in one of the breakout sessions, really showing how us in Destination Canada, through some of the initiatives that we support and collaborate on, are building this regenerative approach throughout the work in communities. So thank you. I hope I've challenged some of your ideas today and you're taking that with you for the rest of the day.